Okay, meeting's gonna start. Bennett, you can start taking attendance.
All right. Let me get this pulled up real quick. Okay, cool. Patty,
Here.
Abdi,
Here.
Emma,
Here.
Trevor, all right. Count him as absent. Noah,
Here.
Peter, no Peter. All right.
Present.
Oh, there we go.
Ours on the agenda.
Jenna,
Here.
Crystal,
Here.
Bree,
Here.
Elias,
Here.
Willie,
Here.
I'm here. Lucas,
Here.
Andy, okay. India,
Here.
Emily,
Here.
Tyler,
Here.
Kristen,
Here.
Natalie,
Here.
Jasmine.
Here.
All right.
Motion to approve last meeting's minutes.
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh. Trevor and Andy are here. I think.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that passes. There is no guest speaker today. Is there any constituent comments? No. Okay, moving on to cabinet reports. Chief of Staff.
Hey everyone. So I apologize for just the slowness this week. I had 2 midterms due yesterday, so now those are out of the way. I can focus a lot more on normal day-to-day activities. So tonight, I will be emailing Professor Rachel Wire, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She, I believe, directs the College Committees Council, and as Chief of Staff, it's my responsibility to fill any student vacancies. So we're talking about committees like finance, academic standards and awards, curriculum, code, which stands for Council on Diversity and Equity. These are all hybrid groups of students and faculty members working to address these topics on campus. And if there's any student vacancies in any of these groups, it's my job to nominate someone, and it's the Senate's job to then approve or not approve that person. So I will be sending her an email tonight, and if any cabinet members are mentioned as people who also sit on these committees, I will definitely CC you. There's nothing constitutionally, to my knowledge, that says senators or cabinet members can't be in these committees. But what I do like about the College Committees Council is previously it has given students who otherwise are not in ASG a chance to get involved with a group that has a lot of ties to ASG. So if you know someone who is not attending this meeting and you think would be a really good fit, feel free to let them know about these vacancies once I get back to you guys about what needs to be filled. Moving along, to my knowledge, there are some discrepancies in the Constitution that I think we should update to make life a lot easier for people who are new. And this year is no exception. I see a lot of new faces here, which is awesome. But the problem is the Constitution, in my opinion, isn't updated enough. It doesn't show the Roberts rules that we use. It doesn't have like a script of a day-to-day meeting. Also, I'm not trying to send out any bad omens, but I think that if there's going to be a year where we see a lot of transitions in leadership, this would be it, because we're going through a pandemic and people could have family emergencies. They, God forbid, could come down with an illness. And in that situation, in the event that they have to step down, we'd have to get a permanent replacement. And the Constitution does not have a succession plan for each office lined up. So long story short, I think that the Constitution could use some revisions, and that's something I hope to work with Trevor and the Rules Committee on. If you're interested in this, just email me. I'm just for convenience, I'm gonna type out my email. I check it almost all the time except at like 4 a.m. So if it's not 4 a.m., email me. Let's see. One more thing. Because we're in a pandemic, I'm expecting mental illnesses to spike on campus. And I think that this is a really great opportunity for ASG to work towards destigmatizing mental illnesses on campus and working as a student organization to better respond to situations like this. I'm in no way suggesting that ASG should be serving as like official counseling or official services for mental illness, but rather we can serve as a group that provides some social support. Let's see, this is the last part of my report, I promise. I'm looking at my student ID card right now. I am a senior, so I don't know if any updates have been made to the card since I matriculated, but on the back of the card, I just see a description about what to do for a lost or stolen card and the partnership with PNC Bank. This is going to be a difficult undertaking, I think, but I would love to get what is known as the crisis text line, which is a 24/7 text hotline that anyone can use for a mental health crisis. I would love to get that on the back of the card. It's a really easy number, and I think that would do a lot of good. So that is my report at the moment. I will yield the floor for questions.
Is there no questions from?
I have a question. Are you planning on having everyone get their cards reprinted completely, or do you mean just for like, I think I may have missed that.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't clarify that. I think in a perfect world, this would be able to happen for the class of 2025 and beyond. That being said, again, a pandemic basically hits the pause button on all campus operations and affairs. Stickers are also a good idea too. Yeah, I think that this is going to affect 25 and beyond. In the meantime, we can always do things like put up posters. But in the future, I'd love to see that become a more permanent unit of what it means to be a student. We need to have mental health resources more readily advertised. So to answer your question, if you're currently an all-card ID holder like I am, I don't think we should go about revising the cards. Rather, I think we should plan ahead for future classes.
Okay, on to Director of Organizational Development.
All right. So, obviously, not a ton's going on, but we had a couple ideas for an election event. So, I'd heard all the way up until a couple days ago that that Gator Day was going to be on Election Day, which was just sort of an idea that would give, people the ability to go out and have the entirety to go vote, or, whatever. But so that has been changed. In fact, due to coronavirus, I don't know what Gator Day is going to look like, but I know that a bunch of people do think that they are going to have the entirety of Election Day to go vote. And in fact, that is not the case. And so we do need to explain, senators, go explain to your constituents, do it in some creative way, just make sure, it gets done so that people will be able to go vote. We just need to explain how, when, where they can go vote. And yeah. And then, so it appears that as the year is progressing, more clubs and things are starting to have more in-person meetings, which is great. We love to see that. So I think it would be good if we develop some sort of brochure or something about the best practices for in-person club meetings, whether that be, say, meet outside, or, obviously be sure to wear a mask and all that sort of stuff. Just something easy to read that, points on the best practices for in-person meetings, because clubs are very important to campus. It raises morale, keeps people happy, and it's a good thing to be plugged into. So it's good to see those are starting back up. We just need to make sure they're safe. So yeah, any questions, comments?
Hi, I have a quick question. Where do we tell people to go vote, and where?
Good question. Emma, you know, you had some thoughts about this, didn't you?
Yes, she has her hand up, so if it's okay with
Oh,
her, and with everyone,
yeah.
I would love to yield to Olivia.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Hi, so Emma and I work at the CPP, and the Center for Political Participation is partnering with the Andrew Goodman Foundation to provide busing from, I don't know the exact hours, I think it might be, Emma would know what the exact hours are, but we are, oh no, she wouldn't, okay, never mind. We do have, I believe it's sometime in the morning, 9 a.m.-ish until 7 or 8 p.m., maybe 6 or 7 p.m. I will get those exact hours, I'll look right now. But we are busing from Brooks Walk. So students can go, the buses are running on the hour, I think, or on the half hour, and students can go and vote at their, voting place. A bus will run going from Brooks Walk again. So I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Is that what you?
You're muted, Bennett.
Oh, thank you. Does that sort of answer your question? If I can contact people, see what we can do, and help sort of facilitate that information being spread. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Olivia.
The bus is running from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. Just, yeah.
Emma?
Yeah, just building on this, a few weeks ago, everyone should have received a joint email from Provost Cole and Dean Thompson. I believe it was called either Election Day Planning or Election Information. Regardless, that is a gold mine of election information. If you're looking for a material to share with everyone, you can always forward it on to people who may not have received it. I hope that's not the case, or just urge them to give it a second read, because there's a lot of really valuable sources in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even if it was just something where we just make posters, just sort of getting the word out there, put them in the CC or something like that, that would be a good way for students to know there is a way to go vote, even though classes will be going on. But yeah, anything else?
Okay. I think we should move on to Attorney
Perfect.
General.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. So just want to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. As my first GA that I'm present for. My name is Trevor. I'm your Attorney General. I'll be heading the Rules Committee. So we look at club constitutions, approve new clubs. We run elections. We review our own constitution, make sure things are running really orderly, right? And as Emma said, something we're going to be doing throughout the year is updating our constitution and a couple really unique ways that I think only we could do this year, right? Because of COVID, things are really changing the way that ASG is meeting, obviously. I think with, kind of the rise of Black Lives Matter as well, like we want to make ASG really inclusive. We want to make our clubs inclusive, and we want to make sure we're following best practices in that regard. So there's a lot of ways that we want to update our constitution, and Emma and I will be working on that, and as we form a rules committee, you guys, the senators, will help us with that. So if you're interested in that, feel free to get in touch with me. I'm happy to answer questions about it. As far as that goes, my report this week is pretty short. Keep an eye out. Just do me a favor. I've heard of like some clubs that have started, and I'm not so sure they have constitutions or that they have been approved by us and stuff. And I love that. I love the energy. But we just want to make sure that they're registered with us, that they can get funding if they need it, right? And all that good stuff. So if you see a club starting and it hasn't been registered, or your friend is like, oh, I just started this club, maybe just be like, yo, go to ASG, email my man Trevor. That would really help me out. I just got forwarded 3 emails from clubs that have been trying to start, so we'll be reviewing those in the immediate future, which is really awesome. Really excited about it. But other than that, I think that's all I got. So if anyone has any questions, let me know, but always feel free to reach out.
Okay, moving on to Director of Sustainability and Environmental Affairs.
I was hoping to have a fuller report, but Kelly Bolton, our sustainability coordinator, was unable to meet with me before this GA, so mine's very short and very tentative. Basically, as soon as Kelly Bolton gets a free moment, I'm going to meet with her to see exactly what we can do, what we can't do. I'm very realistic. There's only about 5 weeks left of in-person instruction this semester, so most of my personal goals are going to be to do a lot of behind the scenes work, especially since like 2 of our big things, which is the green box system and the compost system, are kind of out of service at the moment. So those are 2 things that are like at the top of my goals for this semester, or for this year rather. And I'm sort of just waiting for Kelly to see what she's doing. That way I could partner with her office and also partner with dining, see if we can try to just boost some sustainability, boost some environmental outreach, stuff like that. If anyone has any pointers or ideas, I've been going to Students for Environmental Action meetings, seeing what is kind of on their radar and what they're looking at doing. And they're also kind of doing a little push for Election Day, kind of like most of the other activist groups on campus. But if anyone has any ideas, I am always here. Just shoot me some info. Anything that helps us reduce our carbon footprint, I'll be down with. So, yeah.
Any questions for Willie? Okay, moving on to co-directors of student affairs.
Hey everyone, so I kind of have a little lengthy report. Me and Crystal went to Campus Life Community Standards Committee today. We talked a little bit about the Gator Pledge that's going to be going out for commencement. Obviously that has no effect on us. Second thing we talked about was Jim Basinger. He's the director of public safety. He's looking for 2 students for the committee, the subcommittee for cameras. So if you're interested in that, you can just send me an email and I can connect you with him for that committee. And then pretty much that's all we talked about in that committee. And Crystal's going to start working on the all gender restrooms to get those filled up again. And yeah, so that's that. I sent out a form. Hopefully everyone got that. And as part of your role as senators, as I mentioned in the email, is to be a part of office committees. So like you could be a part of our office, NOAA, whoever, each director. So if you have questions about like whatever roles or what responsibilities you would have or what that office does, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to me or you can reach out to that respective director. And that form is due by Monday. So if you don't fill it out, we're just gonna put you somewhere where we need. So that's really in your best interest to fill it out. And then last week I talked about the idea from Duquesne Law about the numbers system idea. and I met with Matt and we talked a little bit about the systematic side. So before I even move forward in trying to push the idea or things like that, I'm connecting with IT and Amy to see if systematically through Sakai or Canvas this can even work. Because if not, then it's kind of just a dead idea. But that's all for us.
Is there any questions for Jenna or Crystal? If not, on to Director of Finance.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me all right? Alrighty. I also have a kind of a lengthy report for the week. To begin, this week I was able to talk with a lot of our administration who work with ASG, like Matt. We had a nice little conversation there. And then I was able to meet with Stacy, who is our budgeteer for ASG. She does a lot of the signing off, that is. And I was able to also meet with Linda Wetzel, who is our CFO. For our finance request this week, we have $0 from the general budget and $0 from the surplus budget. Until the finance committee is established, there will be 0 finance requests that can be approved by ASG unless they go strictly to Stacy. Henceforth, the finance committee, once it receives its appointed senators, will have our regular finance meeting from 5 to 6 to 7 p.m. on Mondays. More importantly, and I know this is what a lot of your constituents are probably asking about, is in regards to budget hearings. I've been in contact with Abdi and Patty and Matt and Stacy as well for a potential timeline for the budget hearings and initiating this as soon as we can. I talked with Stacy, and this week we'll be looking to send out the budget application forms. And on that, we're going to add that your advisor, the club advisor, has to sign off on the budget as well, just to make sure that another pair of eyes is seeing the budget. I'm trying to think of anything else that's really important about the budget. Oh, we'll be having the hearings. As of now, me and Patty and Abdi have talked about the dates of November 4th, November 5th, November 6th, and November 8th, which is I believe it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and a Sunday. Within the next 10 days, I'm going to send the club presidents an email outlining what the goals for the budget hearings are this year. This year, we're going to see a reduction in club budgets because the period in time that clubs will be having budgets will be the end of November to the beginning of April, which really isn't a lot of time. And in my opinion, it's not just a time to allocate a lot of money to club budgets, but in this time period, we'll have a larger general budget and a larger surplus budget because this year, since we're in an economic contraction, we're going to push that clubs do long-term investments. So an example of this might be club soccer, for example, or any club sport. If they want to get equipment, this is the year to do it because in the following years, we can say, hey, we gave you a great opportunity to make investments 2 years ago, and you guys shouldn't need soccer balls now, and now it's kind of on you guys. Continuing to the philanthropy fund, while this isn't something I believe that we necessarily have to talk about or vote on today, it's something I want to bring up and something I want to bring up for potential creation. The ASG administration, I was talking with Matt and Stacy and Linda a little bit with this, and our executive board and cabinet. We've begun the discussion of the creation of a philanthropy or a fundraiser fund. This fund would be used to invest in potential clubs that have constantly provided great amounts of fundraising. For example, Up Till Dawn, they come in every year and they request about $50, and then they end up having a great return on the fundraiser they have. There are many other clubs that are doing great work on our campus, and with the allocation to this fund, there will be 2 additional forms to check the authenticity of each fundraiser, which allows ASG to promise that correct funding is sent where it needs to go, and that the nonprofit or organization that needs to be receiving this money is receiving this money, just because generosity is a gift, and the money that we give is pretty generous in my opinion, and greed is an ethical flaw of man. I think that one is extremely honorable, and one is worth punishment. So those who choose to violate the philanthropy fund will then receive a sort of financial punishment that is still under wraps, that we're still in the process of deciding on. And this isn't something I'm sure, and Matt, you might have to correct me, and Trevor as well. I'm not sure if this is something that the ASG body needs to vote on, because it's the creation and allocation of money to a new fund. So Matt, if you or Trevor, if you can jump in here to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
I will say TBD.
Okay, so I'll just put this on your plate for now. You guys can think about it, and if you have any questions or want to talk about of course, you guys can email or text me or whatever. And then my final point, and this is something that we should probably do today, is the appointment and reappointment to students on FFC. FFC is our finance and faculty committee. They play a large role in the discussion on what is the long-term economic health of our school, what investments are we making, what large steps are we taking to improve campus life, as well as just recently they had the tuition talk, and that's a pretty big deal. Sophie Adams has represented us for the last 2 years, and I think she's done some exceptional work, and I would like to reappoint her for 1 year. And then going forward, we need the FFC is broken up into 12 people, 4 faculty members, 4 professors, and 4 students. Sophie, after hopefully we reappoint her today, she will be one of the students. I'm one of the students, and I represent a part of ASG, but we're looking for 2 more students. I'm pretty sure they have to be outside of ASG to represent the student body. So if you come across any students who are interested in the position to serve on FFC, to reach out to me, and I can get them in contact where they need to be. For those senators that are interested in the finance committee, I ask that you guys just contact me to get some more information about the committee, because we do a lot of work, and it's a lot what the students see of ASG on our end. They see us right away. That's all I have. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
If there's no questions for Noah, we could move on to Director of Community Relations.
Hi everyone. So this is also my first ASG, I guess officially. Last time I wasn't quite the Director of Community Relations yet, but I'm Elias. I'm from Oberlin, Ohio. And this year, I'm really hoping to build and maintain relationships between ASG, the campus, and the Meadville community. I think that right now, can everyone hear me all right, by the way? Okay. So I think that right now, there's definitely kind of heightened tensions in the country, just between communities and groups of people, and that building symbiotic relationships between the town and the college is growingly important. To have a relationship that's mutually beneficial. Because I think that aiming for the relationship to be not negative or neutral is kind of a low bar, but I think that really what I want to do and what I want to promote is having systems in place that really benefit both us here on campus and the people down in Meadville. I grew up in Oberlin, Ohio. Oberlin is another NCAC school, another pretty small town. So I've seen kind of both sides of the divide between colleges and communities. I understand where a lot of the weak points are. And I think that I'm going to be definitely working on shoring up weaknesses that I think I've observed both as a community member and as a student. I'm a Bonner Scholar as well. So through that, I've gotten a lot of insight into the Meadville community. I've made a lot of contacts that are always looking to build and work on projects on campus, off campus, with Allegheny. So I think that also something that's been coming up is clubs and ASG being involved with the YBL program, and that there's a good opportunity to connect people from 2 very different communities, Meadville and Pittsburgh, and especially the youth. I think that that's important. So establishing a virtual or on paper like pen pal program between the YBL kids and the kids who are serviced at some of the Bonner sites would be a cool way to build bridges between kids who are living in way different places, but ultimately I think can definitely find a lot of commonality and ultimately build a lot of solidarity. On the more technical side, I'm currently planning to inquire about using the TV studio in the Vukovic to create more professional looking content for ASG. I think that all of us on the cabinet and all of the senators, it would be really good if we were able to kind of introduce ourselves in kind of a pretty sleek, cool looking video that really grabs constituents' attention, really, makes things run well. I remember actually back last year when Bennett was first running for ASG and I was in ComArts 300, I actually had him interviewed and it went really well. And I think that we got a lot of positive feedback. So I think that kind of that format of just something that gets your attention, looks professional, our constituents would really appreciate that. And that does add a lot of authenticity to the things that we say and do, which I think is important to keep that in order to have good community relations. So that's pretty much everything I've got. Thank you guys.
Is there any questions for Elias? If not, on to Director of Diversity and Inclusion.
All right. So far, I recently got the emails from Aaliyah Coleman, so I'll be emailing all the sub-presidents in so that I can introduce myself to them. Other than that, that is my main priority, but I also emailed some people who served as ex-officio. So far, I've heard from one other person, and I've also been in talking to some people in the cabinet about reforming some of the bylaws. But other than that, that's all I have. If you have anyone that's interested in serving on DIC that is not in Senate, please let me know.
Is there any questions for Peter? If not, on to Director of Communications and Press.
Hi, I hope you all can hear me well because they're like lawn mowing or something out back. But anyways, my report's a little bit lengthy. Congratulations to everyone for being appointed, and thank you so much for submitting your bios, your videos, your pictures. Every single person has either reached out to me and said, hey, I need a couple days, or has already sent it. So big round of applause, because in my experience with ASG, that has not happened. We've had bios not be sent the entire year, and you guys did it in the span of just a few days. That's impressive. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I just want to talk a little bit about my goals. So 3 main: inclusivity, accessibility, and transparency. As you can see, everybody, or at least the majority of our General Assembly, has their pronouns, listed with their name. That's extremely important. Not only does it look more professional for us if we call people by their correct pronouns or their preferred pronouns, but it's also ensuring that if we have a constituent or if we have a member in our organization that doesn't necessarily identify with the binary pronouns, that we're able to respect that and we're able to represent them and ensure that they feel welcome and comfortable within our General Assembly. One of the things that we don't want to be is kind of exclusive. We don't want to seem as though we only care about that individual when it when it benefits us. So if they're going to come to our meetings, I'd like for us to respect their identities and respect the way that they would like to be called. So thank you for doing that. And then a little bit of some stuff that I've been working on. I'm redesigning the website. So the big home point here is that the website is very inaccessible. You get on the website, it's really hard. The majority of our constituents are looking for finance. That's the biggest thing people go to our website for, is finance. And I had a hard time finding finance, and I've been on ASG for a year now. So this will be my 2nd year, and I still struggle to find that. So I added a search engine that will make it easier for them just to look up finance. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see it. And then I'm going to introduce the steering committee aspect of kind of ensuring that A, I'm doing my job properly, and B, that I'm representing exactly what the students want. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. You might see something else and then we'll fix it. But I'm just going to go straight here. So if you go on here, this is the ASG 2020-21 resources. Everybody should have this. If you don't, let me know. It's extremely, extremely important. and you'll go to the Office of Communications and Press. You can look at this at any time. It's available to you, and you'll go to rebranding. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what the before pictures look like, because the majority of our population in our General Assembly right now has either never been in GA before, has never been a part of ASG, or just in general probably hasn't seen what the website looked like previously. I only did one section so that I can at least show you what my ideas are, and then I can move forward with a bunch of advisors, ensuring that I'm making the best image for ASG. So this is what it looked like before. You can see that a lot of the about minutes elections are all up on the top corner. We have our socials here. And it's really difficult to navigate. So if I were to click on these, you wouldn't be able to see it. So cabinet, it wouldn't send you to like the actual place. You would have to click on it. It'd take you to this really long extended page. So you won't be able to find finance. And you'll notice that there isn't a search engine. So you have to either A, know where everything is, or kind of trial and error. So I'm going to show you back to rebranding. I'll take you to what it looks like now. Let me click on it. And this is just that front section. I'm bringing everything up to Allegheny College brand standards. So you'll see that the logo is slightly off colored from that yellow. I am working on fixing the yellow in the logo. Everything else is correct, perfect, but there's a slight color variation from what it should be. And you'll find there's a search engine here. It takes you to everything you need to do, type in a couple keywords. And then I also added pictures of us actually doing work. So one of the biggest concerns that our constituents had this year was that ASG was inactive, that we weren't doing anything. And after this General Assembly, I'm going to post a picture of us doing a Zoom General Assembly so that they actually see us at work doing something, so that we're not like a standby organization that doesn't do anything. And you'll see I also added a Join Us. The Join Us is going to have our Zoom. That way, in case for some reason you either lose the Zoom link or you don't have access to the agenda, you can see exactly where it is. And it's also easier for our constituents as well who might not have access to the agenda or maybe aren't following us on Instagram. They can just click on Join Us, come to the Zoom meeting, and we can have a decent Zoom General Assembly, which is something that we lack. Our constituents don't really come to our General Assemblies. So working on ways that we can increase participation, that is fantastic. So if you have any ideas, always reach out to me. Would love the help. And then moving on from there, I will need every Senate's mission statement. I know, another assignment, I'm sorry. But in order for me to update the website, I have to have your mission statement. I have to have your committees, and you guys won't have a committee until it's approved. So don't worry about that. Just shoot me a message whenever you get the chance, letting me know what committee you're on. But all of you, that would be your vice president, your president, and then your respective senators for each class will have to submit a mission statement. Examples of mission statements can be found on the website under Senate. You just click on it, it'll take you to one of the mission statements, just draft one. And then everybody should have had access to the ASG etiquette and netiquette. Thank you for following it. This General Assembly is running much smoother than it was before. So congrats to you guys, thank you. And then also the frequently asked questions form. Only 4 people filled it out. That's not a problem. But if only 4 people fill it out, then I can only hear 4 people's concerns. And I think that we have a substantial amount of members in the General Assembly. So if you have a concern, reach out. If you don't want to put it in the form, reach out to me, email me. If you don't want me to tell somebody what your concern is, don't worry, I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, hey, this is what the concern was. How can I address this? So the ones that did fill out the form, you will have your answers. I don't know who sent it out. I didn't check. I just looked at the content. So I will get those answers for you. I will reach out to the respective directors and have that answered for you. Either tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. And then from there, I just need your Senate meeting times. Same thing for cabinet. I need cabinet meeting times for your committees and cabinet office hours. Also, the very last thing that I have, bi-weekly newsletter announcement. So basically we do a bi-weekly, obviously bi-weekly on Friday, which we haven't had one, and I'm a little bit behind, but I was waiting until everybody was appointed and they had their committees. So essentially by Friday, I'm going to send out a bi-weekly. You guys probably won't have your committees by then. That's okay. And I will just go ahead and put your names and say, hey, these are your senators, these are your representatives. And then hopefully I'll have your mission statement by Friday at 12 p.m. so I can include it in the bi-weekly as well. Other than that, That's all that I have. So I'm going to yield the floor to any questions, comments, or concerns. And we can also talk about the steering committee if you're interested in doing website rebranding with me. Thank you.
No, I saw you raise your hand. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to double check with you, Bree. Here, did you want mission statements as well from the cabinet on our committees then?
Yes, you can do that. Thank you.
I don't have a question, but if we were in person, we could like all knock for Bree, for like the website and stuff.
Okay. So before we move on to class reports, I just want to mention real quick, if you do have a question or a comment, just put the asterisk on. I can't see entirely everybody on my screen, so I might not see like if you raise your hand. So just as a reminder. And then class reports, class of 2021.
I don't have anything specifically to report since I just really got appointed next meeting. Can you hear me well? Sorry, I feel that I'm speaking really low. Okay. Just one thing, I am trying to look for more senders. So if you know anybody that's interested, please let me know. I'll leave my email in the chat below. And that is it.
Class of 2022. Class of 2023.
So we still have to have Olivia and, well, actually, Olivia, Bridget, and Kyrie all sworn in. And then Bridget, we also decided was our last sender.
Another thing to add on to that too, we're going to be hosting our weekly meetings. I think Thursdays. We have to figure it out also with everybody, but I think it's going to be Thursdays. Bree, I'll let you know exactly what time and everything and how we're going to do it. And we're also going to be looking into some events that are going to be, we're going to try to do virtual events this semester. We're going to do maybe something in person. I don't know, because they just sent out the large gathering form last week. Our actually committee I work in with the college, we decided we're going to allow larger events, larger in quotes. But yeah, so that's gonna be something we're gonna work on too, and we'll let you all know what's going on when that happens.
Okay, then class of 2024.
I have nothing significant to report except the class of 2024 will be having short meetings every Sunday at 2 unless otherwise said. And then we also organized a meeting with Matt after this GA meeting in order to ask questions.
Okay, on to VP's report. Last week I mentioned of the ASG and Public Safety Initiative. James Bassinger, reached out and we have a meeting with him tomorrow at 5:30. I also included Bree since she's going to be helping take the lead on making that Instagram for public safety and being informative towards student body. I also wanted to reiterate how Bree sent out the ASG resources folder. ASG agendas will be found on there. It won't be sent out anymore. We'll send out reminders about the ASG resources folder, of course, but just to put it on everybody's radar that they won't be sent anymore and they will be found in the folder. Okay, and then that's it for me. President's report.
Thank you, Patty. Hello, everyone. I'm going to start off with a diversity podcast, and then I'm going to go off with, the second meeting with President Haley Link because I wanted to open up the floor for discussion with the ASG philanthropy. So starting off with the diversity podcast, Our guest for this Friday is Allegheny alum from the class of 2017. He has dual degrees in environmental studies and studio art. His name is Jack Orman. He's an American photographer and an Emmy award-winning filmmaker. His work covers topics from social justice to sports and the arts. And, as everyone has mentioned, kind of today, kind of the social climate and, how everything is going on in the world with social justice. I think it was pretty important to bring him on and talk about his experiences with him being, live in the movement and being there kind of like as an anthropologist, photographer. But during the summer, he began documenting, the front lines of the Black Lives Matter protests that were happening in Pittsburgh and all across the country. And if you follow his Instagram, you can see the pictures and his documentation. And he continues to document the movement till this day. He's currently still doing it. I forgot where he's at right now. But this year he also won an Emmy for his work on a Boys and Girls Club commercial. So he's going to be a very important guest. And, we've been doing pretty good with the biweekly diversity podcast. So yeah, and moving on to, I met with Pam earlier today, and we're kind of discussing kind of our second meeting with President Link, including her and Patty also kind of just discuss, how can best move forward with administration and ASG. A lot of concerns was brought up about that last GA. So we're working on a time and date to schedule a meeting. Could be in the next upcoming week or two. But just trying to stress this out. Please reach out to me and Patty if you have important issues or plans that you feel is important to bring up, that you feel like we should bring up during the meeting. I know a lot of people had a lot of concerns on about, kind of like the AG and administration kind of bridge or like the collaboration or how it's working. But we're coming up with ways to kind of collaborate and communicate at a better pace. And now with the AG philanthropy, this is kind of like the big, that's going to take just a little bit of time. Meeting with my cabinet, we kind of discussed, running a philanthropy event, and it's kind of based on providing educational support to at-risk youth and low-income or marginalized communities. This could also include mental support and other types of support. The whole goal is to promote real activism and sense of community within clubs and organizations. We know, talking with Noah, with COVID happening, clubs are kind of restricted on events, on gatherings. So this kind of creating a different avenue for them to get involved and to kind of brainstorm on new ideas and a new avenue and new platform to kind of gain exposure for their club and share lived experiences. And, I think it's also a good way for administration to get involved to kind of, tighten that bridge and kind of starting off, this is like a proposed idea, just for ASG to kind of set the example. We're thinking have like the YBL youth, attending the GA so they can gain awareness of how student governments run. Robert's rules is something that's used in the professional world, something that's very common. So I think it's very crucial for youth who are not exposed to these types of learning to be exposed to them. And, this is something a guest speaker could do, kind of explain Robert's rules in a simplified version to the high school youth. Just a little background in the program. Young Born Leaders, I founded it here at Allegheny College. It has been running for 2 years. Since 2018, I've been working with a lot of clubs, organization, and administration to keep kind of self-supporting and moving on even after I graduate. It's composed of high school students, 9th to 12th grade, primarily in the Northview Heights area. It's a low-income community in Pittsburgh, and engages the students in a series of programs and events, including exposure to higher education, which is kind of like the main program basis. And I know a point of concern was like, how do we connect this with the Meadville community? I think that's something my director of community relations has brought up. I'm working with him, Elias, to connect this philanthropy with the Meadville community. We had the idea of, creating a pen pal system. So we kind of bridge, kids who kind of have, commonalities, but are coming from, two different, places, and that's how kind of we all are. We all come from different places, so we're just kind of continuing and kind of upholding on our statement of community again. There's 15 total kids in the program, but we're hoping to expand to other cities and other states other than PA once enough funding and resources are provided. Also, working with trying to see how civic engagement will have to say about this project, make sure we're falling in line with their guidelines, because I know with COVID, there's been a lot of changes to the guidelines that there were before. And with the plan outlook, just something simple. If a club, presents to the YBL kids, let's say if you're a volleyball club, you teach the kids how to play volleyball, or, come to give exposure information on your club. The vice president or the president of the club gets a YBL t-shirt, and, this kind of promote other clubs, kind of get involved and kind of like, do some real activism. But at this time, I open up the floor for a suggested 5-minute moderated conversation to discuss any questions or concerns or comments. Yes.
So at this time, if any of you guys have like any questions, comments, and or concerns, about the philanthropy, or if you have any ideas yourself about how we can be more collaborative with our Meadville relations, let us know. But it's a suggested 5-minute moderated discussion. So if any senator wants to appoint that and just kind of talk about it, by all means, go ahead. Thank you.
If anyone doesn't have any questions, I think next GA will come up with a ASG proposed plan. So Senate could vote on it, on how we should move forward. And that'll be proposed next GA. And that is all I have for my report, and open up the floor once again for any questions or concerns dealing with my whole transition, and not just the YBF philanthropy. That is all for my report.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business. Okay, so since while Jenna was giving her report, she mentioned that she doesn't want to make it official yet of writing student names as numbers. We'll kind of leave that off to the side for now. However, something that was brought up by Gretchen was last year's administration brought up having bonfires placed throughout campus to improve student life. I do think that's a good idea, but I wanted to open for discussion for 5 minutes. Emma?
Is there like a document or a map or any sort of plan that's been outlined that you guys have access to?
It was more of a proposed idea. She just brought it up to us. Lucas?
I definitely think a bonfire would be a great idea, just like some bonfire pits. I mean, bonfires are fun. It's like an outdoor activity, so that could be something that we could do socially distanced, and we could adhere to college guidelines. So yeah, a bonfire, I just love bonfires, so I'm completely in. And I'm more than willing to like contact people too about like where they would be placed and stuff. So yeah.
Andy?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that Lucas said. And I know that right now, at least, it's like such a good thing to have because it's not really a thing where people would be completely on top of each other. So I think it's a nice outdoor activity, and I know that Allegheny has so much land that it's definitely something that we could make happen. It's not like we're in a city or something. So
Jenna?
Kelsey and I briefly worked on like this idea last year, and I don't know if this is still the same, like the same map that they're thinking about, but we had said one in the Gator Quad, one on Brooks Walk, one in College Court, one in NV. Yeah, 4.
I think those are good locations. If you still have like the maps and like just general info that you guys talked about, you could send that over to cabinet and we could discuss on Sunday. And then Kristen?
I wanted to add that I love this idea. And would students be able to bring their own s'mores? Or would the Allegheny Kitchens, I know they sometimes do fun things, would we be able to like put s'mores over the fire if it was socially distanced? What are your guys' thoughts?
Can you repeat your question one more time? I'm sorry.
Would we be able to do s'mores if they were socially distanced? I love this idea. And would Allegheny provide the s'mores, or would the students have to bring their own food?
I think there would have to be a double check with the COVID-19 regulations. I know we can't even get catering for events from outside. It has to be through Parkers. So I think as long as if it's run through Parkers, yes, it's gonna happen. If it's student bringing their own, I think that should, like, this is just general and that's not for sure. But I would think it would be fine if it's just like a group of friends, like, not like something organization related, that should be okay. But either regardless, having s'mores and bonfires is definitely possible. And then Elias?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that this would be a really great opportunity for constituent involvement. I think that those first 2 or 3 weekends, saying like, all right, at each of these fire sites, there's going to be, this cabinet member and this senator there from like, 6 to 8, 7 to 9. That would be a really cool thing because like, that people are going to be there. And so I think that being able to just, having the ASG members there, not only as kind of a reminder that like we got it there, but as a place for, them to bring concerns, questions, whatever they've got.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good idea. And then just keep time in mind. Lucas, you're next.
Yeah, I just want to say maybe we all brainstorm some ideas about where we would want these fire pits and such, and then maybe next meeting we come back to this and try to like get like a little vote or like moderated discussion going about it. And then yeah, so if you guys want to maybe think about ideas of where you would want to see fire pits on campus, and then bring that to next meeting, I think that would be a good plan of action.
Are you calling a motion to table it?
I mean, we're not voting, so no. I mean, I just say like just think of ideas for next week and we can keep this on the agenda because we're definitely not going to be able to vote on this today considering all of the discrepancies and such. So we need to do a little bit more research, I feel, and then come back to it next meeting and then make a vote on it.
Got you. Okay, and then Noah and then Natalie, you're next.
I was just gonna pretty much say what Lucas was gonna say about with the fire pits. There's a additional constant cost of firewood and supplies to keep the fire going, and that's just gonna be an added thing to think about as well because unless we can get some super cheap bulk wood, yeah, we just need the internal flame. But That's also going to probably affect our carbon footprint in some way if we're buying large quantities of wood, because in order to get that wood, we have to cut down trees.
That was a very solid point, Noah. Thank you for that. And then Natalie.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, like, we have to also think about who is going to sponsor this or be in charge of this. So is this the college, like physical plant is going to have to make sure the fire gets out or set up? Is this ASG, like who's going to maintain this? And do we have any required guidelines, like someone has to be there to like make sure people don't set the grass on fire or something? So
I think these are all very good comments, questions, and concerns. Just to kind of keep things going, we will keep this discussion continuing for next week. The next thing we wanted to bring up in unfinished business was the crosswalk on Main Street. There's a lot of safety issues surrounding that. I'm gonna yield the conversation towards Bree since it was her concern that she brought up.
Hi, yeah, so I live in a residential college area. I live within the parameters of W&J, and they also had a similar issue where, you know, the people that live in the town aren't necessarily obeying the crosswalks, and that's a really big issue for Allegheny, especially on Main Street, where students, we had a student that was hit by a car at one point in time, and, you know, we continue to have this issue where you know, people aren't necessarily obeying the speed limit. They're not obeying the state law that says that you have to yield for an oncoming student on a crosswalk in a college campus. And I know we talked about it last year. So we brought up what we could do to kind of like address that on the campus side, because there are things that have to be addressed by like the local government side, something that we can't necessarily do. But on our campus, and something that W&J has done, and I will get a picture out to you guys so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. But they installed stuff on the sidewalks for the college campus that kind of had lights flashing anytime that a student was walking by to make it known that, especially at night, this is a crosswalk. And I think sometimes, even though they are aware that the crosswalk never moves, they don't necessarily obey it. I've seen the little divider that they have between the road get hit a couple times. Sometimes it's not even there. So just kind of working on a way that we can A, ensure our student safety, and B, fix a problem that, you know, is ongoing and has yet to be addressed.
Willie?
As someone who drives often and frequents North Main, I feel like there also needs to be a culture change among Allegheny students as to look before you cross and don't just jut out in the middle of traffic. So when I drive up North Main, the speed limit's 35 miles per hour, which is honestly extremely excessive. And I'm going about 20 every time I go up there, and I still have I'm still like screeching my brakes because Allegheny students just wander like into the crosswalk aimlessly. And as someone who's operating an automobile, that becomes extremely frustrating. So in the case of the driver, I can understand if the residents of Meadville do not like driving on North Main, because there's a good batch of Allegheny students who need to remember their elementary school look before you cross the street thing. And that's just that's my tea on that. I also think, as someone who crossed that street for 2 years so far, I think that we should have the speed limit lowered. There's absolutely no reason why drivers need to be going 35 up there, because 35 can sometimes mean 40. And honestly, I have not been able to drive up North Main faster than 25 miles an hour, and I think that's a good thing. Bennett said it's never 35. I thought the speed limit was 35 miles an hour for that road. So if I was wrong, then okay, never mind then. But yeah.
Elias?
Yeah, I think I want to kind of go off something that Willie said about kind of returning to that very basic elementary level look before you cross. I think that it might it's kind of absurd, like being like 18, 19 years old, seeing like, you know, hey, here's how to cross the street safely. But I think that seeing something like, you know, presented the right way, yeah, something, it's so weird that people have to be reminded. I think that they would pay attention just because it's like, oh, well, yeah, this isn't something I think about, but, you know, there's a lot at stake. So I think that promoting more safety around Main Street is a big point.
Jenna?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that maybe we can use, I don't even know if this is still there. Noah, you might be able to help with this, the Student Action Fund, if the college isn't responsive to get those like light up crosswalk machine things.
We do, it is still active, but we won't know what the allocated amount is until post-budget hearings. That's when we make the full financial assessments.
Matt, did you have a comment as well?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk at these things or not, but I thought I might be able to provide a little institutional history since I have been here for quite a bit of this. One of the things that might be useful to consider, especially given this year how the schedule has changed, is if adjusting student meal times has made the crosswalks less busy when there is more traffic on North Main Street. I had that thought when I was driving through campus the other day at noon because I was on lunch, but I was like, where are the students? And you guys don't, the class breaks are totally different this year. So is that a permanent change you guys could consider making for safety? And the other thing I was going to say was that I think it was to, I forget whose point at this point. I think it was Willie. So the state actually did a study of North Main Street and the average driver goes under 35. They studied the traffic randomly, so they said there's no need to decrease the speed limit since everybody already drives under the speed limit. So there's a lot of institutional stuff that happened on the back end, and I have a lot of that material if anybody's interested for those studies and some of the, I forget what they phrase it really oddly, like pedestrian taming items that you can do to try and tame pedestrians, to convince you not to cross the street where you shouldn't. And if that's something that ASG wants to invest in, we could possibly talk about that as well.
Okay, there seems to be a lot of discussion surrounding this issue. I think we should keep this on the agenda for next week, keeping time in mind once again. So I would like to move on to new business, redelegating Halloween float. Emma?
Hey everyone, so I will try to keep this brief. I really appreciate all of you being so enthusiastic and staying overtime. For those of you who served as senators your freshman year, you probably remember being tasked with putting together, yep, Trevor, a Halloween float. Now, I don't know how this came about, but I think at least since I've been here, yeah, Lucas knows what's up. The first year senators of Allegheny student government have been tasked with putting together a Halloween themed float for the Midville Halloween parade. If you are a first year senator, please do not freak out. Obviously, this does not apply to you given the proximity of Halloween and that the entire parade isn't happening this year. Before I joined ASG, like long before any of us were here, each class was allotted 10 senators. That number changed to 5, but the first years were tasked with the exact same amount of work despite having their personnel reduced by half. In the past, I think this has been pretty poorly handled by leadership. There is nothing in the Constitution mandating that we have to do this float. Not to mention, if you're a freshman who wants to run for Senate under a normal year, you would have to attend an information meeting about running at ASG. And when I attended that meeting, this float was never mentioned once. And then the turnaround after I got sworn in was, hey, stop everything, make a float. And that was frustrating to me because as a first year, I was running on this campaign of making feminine products free on campus. And I was really excited to initiate that, but I was told to halt all of my organizing to build a float. And what was difficult about that was that none of my constituents requested this float. So when they asked me, hey, Emma, we voted for you because we were so excited to hear about your feminine products initiative. How's it going? I'd have to say, oh, authority has ordered me to stop it because I have to build a Halloween float. That was my actual response. So look, I'm not trying to bash people. I'm trying to bash ideas. And I think that while this is an excellent way for students to obtain required, no, not abolish the Halloween parade, it's a really cool parade. I think that while this was very well intended, because no one has asked students to build Halloween floats, I don't see how this benefits the people we were elected to represent. So, given the time constraints that we have, and because it's midterm season and I don't want to keep you guys, I would recommend that we motion to make this unfinished business and we table this discussion. At the moment, I think it might be worth discussing maybe delegating this to GAP, the Gator Activity Programming, or Major Events Committee. I Heart Meadville. I think this is a fabulous initiative, but I think it's pretty unfair to expect 5 people who are brand new to the organization to put together a float with little information. That is my spiel.
Okay.
That was well received. They love it.
Lucas, I seen that you had put an asterisk. Do you have a question or a comment for Emma?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was the parade's canceled, but Emma already touched on that because I thought she was gonna make them do it, and I'm like, no, the parade's canceled.
I don't have the authority to make people do a float. I don't want to do that.
Okay, and then on to Pan Hyman is working on initiatives to strengthen community relations with Meadville community. Abdi.
What's up, guys? I'm back again. So, so talking with Pam, okay. So talking with Pam earlier, we kind of discussed like how we can like kind of an initiative to strengthen the community relations with the Meadville community. And I know she was kind of telling me stories that that kind of happened in the past. That kind of that made Meadville residents have a bad perspective on the Allegheny students and the faculty. And there's always been like that dispute that no one's talked about. So we were kind of thinking on initiatives to kind of like work with the Meadville community. I think we talked about working with the MLK mentoring, which focuses on like giving mentorship to the Meadville Middle School down the street, and kind of open that up for discussion. And I think another initiative was gift bags and care packages. We were going to do this through the YBL program and kind of distribute this to YBL youth. But I also wanted the Meadville youth to kind of get a chance and what's going to be involved in those gift bags or care packages. We're going to be pencils, Allegheny t-shirt with the YBL t-shirt, food and snacks, maybe clothes, because we're also thinking of like if you go to do a donation drive, but that's just initiatives and proposed ideas for right now. But something to keep in mind if any senators want to get involved or have any critique feedback that they want to add, or if they have any cool ideas that could kind of help further this and bolster this project. Looking to hear it. Just please reach out to me. You have, pretty sure everyone has my email, or you could email the HG email. So yeah, much appreciated. And that is all. If anyone has any questions or concerns, it's just a brief proposed idea. But yeah, just like some initiatives to help work with the Meadville community, and I'll be working with Elias to kind of like have a proposed, guideline or whatever.
Peter.
Yeah, so I know that like cabinet and senate members are required to do service. So like would participation like through like this like philanthropy idea count in that regard?
Wait, could you repeat like the last 30 seconds of your question?
So would participation in like the ASG philanthropy that you have with YBO, would that count towards like our service hours that we need to do?
Yes, if the plan is kind of passed by Senate, then yeah, you are providing educational support. That it is. You are volunteering, since no one's getting paid. But yeah. Any more questions or concerns?
And then steering committee for website rebranding, Bree.
I'm gonna keep this short because Jay's going on a little bit. But basically I mentioned it briefly in my cabinet report. If anybody's interested in joining a subcommittee that's not necessarily a part of the official communications and press, but more so just like an advisory board for website redesigning, by all means reach out to me. This can be cabinet members, it can be any constituents that you can think of, it can be the Senate. Just let me know if you're interested in being on the committee. Thank you.
Okay, and then FFC reappointment of Sophie Adams. Noah.
According to the guidelines, we need a quick little bio here for Sophie. So this is Sophie Adams. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who have been in ASU before, you're probably familiar with the work that she's done, and she's done some great stuff. She's actually gone into FFC with her whole financial statement and like slapped it on the table and said, "This is the facts." She's a junior and she's a double major in global health and political science. She's represented the student body for the last 2 years since her freshman year. Yes, she is a boss. She has made sure that the concerns of students of issues of tuition and campus improvement, among other things, are heard when it matters. She believes that her experience makes her a great candidate for reappointment. She understands the commitment functions and the substantial challenges for the long-term financial goals of the college. So if someone wants to make a motion to possibly get that in the works.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Sophie Adams to the FFC of Allegheny College.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passes. Okay, and is there any constituent comments? No. Advisor announcements?
I will also keep this short for the sake of everybody because I also stupidly agreed to another meeting after this and it's almost 9 o'clock. If I emailed you and told you that you were supposed to schedule a meeting with me and you haven't, you should do that because I said so and it'll be helpful. I promise. I swear. Just please schedule the meeting so I can stop trying to figure out who hasn't and figuring out who I need to email. Please and thank you. It's okay, Chris. No, we can still meet after this for all the first years. We'll just keep it short.
Motion to close.
Motion to close this meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that passes. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
I'll try to get out of here.
Right, sleep tight, remember voting is a right. Okay, bye.